This is where we talk about the news that came out the other day. And that is that a co-deputy director is fixing to join the FBI. Pam Bondi and Kash Patel have just appointed Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey as co-deputy director of the FBI alongside Dan Bongino. Now, before we talk about this, I'm curious. We got about 11 minutes to talk about this. I want to know y'all's thoughts in the chat. Is Dan leaving, or does this mean that they're ramping up things and they're fixing to like bring people down that you guys have wanted? I know what I believe and what I think is going to happen, and I'll tell you guys, but I want to know what you think first. Do you think Dan's leaving, or do you think that this is they're getting ready to finally put people in cuffs and perp walk people across the board? Let's keep going, Todd. Let's go to the next one here. I believe this is a New York Post article. Should be the next one. Okay, here we go. New York Post, Missouri AG Andrew Bailey stepping down to become FBI co-deputy director. See what New York Post has to say here. Missouri Attorney General, staunch supporter of President Trump, announced he's resigning from his state position to take a high-ranking leadership position in Federal Bureau of Investigation. Quote, "My life has been defined by a call to service, and I am once again answering that call, this time at the national level. The deputy position at the FBI is one of the most powerful roles in the entire Bureau, only second to the director." So now we've got two deputy directors. Missouri governor plans to announce a new appointee. Let's go down. Let's see if they say anything about Dan in this. Bailey, blah, 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 blah. Earlier this year, Bailey's office. Nope. Keep going. Don't care about any of this. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. The shakeup is just one of many promised by FBI Director Kash Patel. Since starting at head honcho of the FBI, Patel has purged numerous senior officials, including top agents in key leadership positions. Officials with the Justice Department have also prodded the FBI to obtain names of agents who were involved in the investigation surrounding the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. Okay, not a lot there. Let's go to Andrew's post. Let's pull this up and see what he has to say. All right. Andrew says, "I am proud to announce I have accepted the role of co-deputy director of the FBI." That means him and Dan will be equals in that regard. "I extend my thanks to President Trump and AG Pam Bondi for the opportunity to serve in the mission to make America safe again. I will protect America and uphold the Constitution." Well, what's Dan Bongino got to say? Let's see what Dan has to say about this here. Here we
Welcome.
go. He says, "Welcome." And I think it's interesting that he shares Brooke Singman's post, where she alludes to the Fox News article just announcing that he would be joining as deputy director of the FBI. Todd, can you find me a photo? Just give me a photo of Dan or Kash or whatever it is, because I want to talk about this, all right? Here's what I think. And here's from having conversations and, again, just waiting on some stuff. This is what I think. Well, first of all, let's go with what you guys think. Do you think Dan's out? Do you think they're ramping up to actually bring people to justice? What do you guys think?
I have two thoughts here. First one is I hope they're bringing him in to I don't know, make the team stronger, because as we know, I mean, I'm going to take you guys as beloved Alabama as an example here. We know Nick Saban always brought in strong offensive coordinators, Kiffin, Sark, to bring in people. Hopefully that they're bringing him in to kind of take the cuffs off of Dan, to let Dan focus on more bringing people in or handcuffing people that he wants to investigate. But I also think that if they're bringing in a co-deputy director, I think that this is an out for Dan to maybe, I don't know, go off into the sunset and come back to his show. That's my two thoughts. I hope it's the first one that they're bringing in people to make the team stronger. But I think that this is Dan's out. So what do you think, Paul?
I'm going way outside the box here. No, I don't think Dan's going anywhere, because Dan is a patriot. Dan's a man of service, of selfless service, and I don't think he's going anywhere. I think Bondi just appointed her replacement. I really believe that. Bondi is not doing a good job. She's not. she's just not doing very well. And I think they're going to have Andrew sit with Cash, go over everything, sit with Danny B, go over everything that they know so far. And as soon as he gets caught up, yep, goodbye.
Excuse me.
It's good thought. Good thought. Possible across the board. Here's what I know to be true. Dan was brought in because Dan was a cop. That's why Dan was brought in.
Yep.
Now they got an attorney in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They both have the same power, the same authority. It's double trouble in that regard. Is Dan leaving? The answer is yes. Of course Dan's leaving. Dan's not going to be there forever. It's a lunatic. Only a lunatic thinks that. like you have to be some kind of dumb to think that Dan Bongino is going to stay at the FBI until he retires. Like, of course Dan's leaving. Like at some point, just like of course I'm going to die. At some point, yes, Dan's leaving. I mean, like under no circumstances did Dan Bongino take the job going, this is where I'm going to be for the rest of my life. However, Dan is going to stay until the job is done and or enough has been fixed that he can walk away.
Yep.
Now, I think that both Todd and Tony have a good point here. Is this Dan's eventual out? Yes, absolutely. 1,000,000% it could be. Yeah, absolutely. Get this guy in here. You actually start cracking down. We start pert walking people. Dan Bongino does what Dan Bongino does. This allows Dan Bongino to go be Dan the cop again. Mm-hmm. This allows Dan to go be Dan the kicking in the freaking door and skull dragging people Dan again. Get this guy who's an attorney to come in there. Hey, you can deal with all this paperwork nonsense and you can sit in all these meetings that you're better at. I'm fixing to go out there and we're fixing to go get some people.
Exactly.
I would love to see Bongino in freaking body armor. I would pay such
That
good
would be
money
awesome.
to that'd be freaking amazing.
Anyway, but Dan is looking to get the job done, but he is looking for his out. And he is looking for his offer. And I think it's dumb to think, and it's not dumb for him to do that. Somebody said, of course he's not staying forever. Nobody stays in those positions forever. Well, you're an idiot because look at freaking Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, all these other. What are you talking about? It's the dumbest statement I've heard in the chat today. Of course, some people have every intention on staying in there forever. Then they run for Congress. Then they run for Senate. Then they run for governor. Then they do this. Shut up. What I'm saying is Dan's there to do a job, and he's a patriot. Dan is the man. He's the GOAT. He's going to do it. Do I think that this means that Dan Bongino's leaving right now? Absolutely not. He's not leaving right now. Why? Kobe Bryant said it best in an interview. Job ain't finished. Job finished.
What's there to be happy about?
What's there to be happy
Exactly.
about? Job's not finished. Job's not finished yet. So no, I ain't happy about it. I got work to do. Dan's going to put his nose to the grindstone across the board. The big question in my mind is what's Cash's timeline in all this? You know, how long is Cash? Is Cash going to stay the full 4 years in this thing? It'll be interesting.
I could see that.
It'll be interesting to see what Cash does. But what I know is this is a win for America. Bring in this guy, bring in Bailey in, this is going to lead to you guys and us seeing what we've wanted to see. Perp walks, handcuffs, people going down across the board. And then, yeah, to Todd's point, I said Pam Bondi's on a time frame. Can she pull it out to get to a C+? Performance or something to stick around. I still think that is possible. Look no different than Marco Rubio. Everybody hated Rubio.
Yeah.
And always deep
Little
state
Marco.
all this. And then he comes in and buddy, he's laying the smackdown in his role here. So I'm not saying that Pam Bondi can't redeem herself to get to like a C+, a passing grade, if you will, kind of thing. But I think Todd's right. You've got Bailey now sitting in the wings, and he could be
chomping at the bits.
He could be an easy tap, and then if he does a little bit of time at the FBI, it's a little bit easier to get him through the Senate confirmation process.
The next 30 days will tell us everything we need to know about what Bailey's purpose is. If
I don't think 30 days.
Well, if Bailey comes out the gate like, yes, we're doing, and like he becomes like, gets behind a mic and starts doing hits and starts putting out tweets and things like that, and you see the role of Bondi, like they start, they go down and he goes up. Yep, that's all you're gonna need to know.